was telling me that she was telling her uncle about this job with the addictions placement. And her uncle just straight up was like, "Oh, you're going to be working with a bunch of losers." My God. Like, do people really still not understand addiction? It's wild.
Welcome back to Living with FASD, Shannon. It's so good to have you back again. It's been, what, 3.5 years since we last sat down and talked, and I'm sure a lot has been going on for both of us. So let's catch up. What all have you been doing?
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me on today. I have been up to a lot actually since the last time we spoke. I guess I just would have been getting my diagnosis and sort of breaking out into the field of like speaking at conferences with FASD about FASD. But yeah, so much has unfolded. So I've had the privilege of serving on a couple of boards in the last couple of years. The Health Nexus Advisory Board, which I still participate in, as well as the Canadian Academy of Health Sciences FASD evaluation team. So that was pretty incredible. We worked for 18 months on an FASD evaluation for the government of Canada, and that just came out, I believe, this past July. So that can definitely be looked into if you're a Canadian resident. I also served with the ALC, with the Adult Leadership Collaborative of Changemakers.
Oh,
Um,
I remembered that.
yeah, so I sat with them for about 2 years before they disbanded recently. Professionally, I'm working as a peer supporter at a place called the Mental Health Support Project in Smiths Falls, Ontario. I also mentor adolescents with FASD through rural FASD, which is also in Smiths Falls, Ontario. So I live just outside of Smiths Falls. I continue to do speaking at conferences. Let's see what else. I teach movement and I teach meditation. And most recently, I've stepped into energy alignment work, which has been deeply meaningful to me, as well as complementary to everything else that I'm doing right now.
So that's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah. So when you talk at conferences and such, what kinds of things do you generally share?
So definitely talking about lived experience. This year I talked a little bit about my work with rural FASD. So that's the mentoring that I'm doing for young adults with FASD. And we're doing things like life skills and taking them grocery shopping and showing them how to keep a budget and apply for jobs and yeah, like resume creation and stuff like that. One of the biggest projects that I've been developing, though, is a program called Anchor. I designed it to be accessible, bite sized information for folks with busy brains or mental health challenges. So the goal was to provide just enough structure and self reflection to not overwhelm people. And that is an 8-week journey. And so I can just go through what we sort of talk about in the 8 weeks.
Let's do that.
So week one is all about inner dialogue. And so we explore the way that we speak to ourselves. Many of us live with a harsh inner critic or internalized shame. And so in week one, we practice noticing that voice and beginning to shift to a kinder, more supportive inner tone. So tools might include like reframing language, self-compassion practices, and grounding affirmations. There's always grounding affirmations. Week two is called decluttering your environment. And this week looks at our external environment and how it affects our nervous system and our concentration. So we explore simple ways to create supportive spaces. So like your physical space, but as well as of the brain and what that how that changes how we show up in the world. And then let's see, week three, we talk about nervous system functions and nervous system foundations. And so we learn how the nervous system works and how stress shows up in our bodies and in behaviors. People often feel relieved just noticing that their reactions are rooted in physiology and not personal failure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so we practice simple regulation tools like breathing and grounding and some more body based strategies in that week.
Mhm.
Week four is all about resilience and boundaries and real self care and communication. So We explore boundaries that protect our energy and self care that actually restores us, and communication that is honest and compassionate, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well. Because ultimately, the way that we do speak to ourselves shapes how we speak to others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Week
This
five is about,
is
sorry,
a very well thought out program that, I
thank
mean,
you.
you're covering a lot of very important bases.
Yeah, and like I said, it's bite-sized information. So the whole program is only about 3 hours of content, but
Mhm.
that's designed to be done over 8 weeks. So you're really only doing about 20 or 30 minutes a week. And, sometimes the weeks are 15 minutes. It's just so that people aren't overwhelmed with somebody talking at you for a whole hour, you know?
Like the podcast.
I did not mean that. But I think the videos, they also come with, like, guided visualizations and, there's more that you can sort of do in there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get back to week 5.
So, yeah, week 5 is about perfectionism because perfectionism can be a really big barrier for many of us, especially neurodivergent folks. So, this week is all about the power of small steps, building slowly, letting things be good enough, and celebrating the incremental growth rather than chasing impossible standards. Week 6 is all about values. There's a Brene Brown values exercise that can be found simply by Googling Brene Brown values exercise. And so it helps people clarify what really matters to them. Not things that they should care about, but things that actually light them up and guide their choices. Once we know our values, decisions tend to be a little bit easier for us. And then we can start to build lives that feel more aligned with who we are. Week 7 is about sleep and rest. And we look at rest as a foundation for wellness. So participants will learn a little bit about sleep hygiene, emotional, mental, sensory, spiritual ways to rest. And this focuses sort of on supportive rhythms rather than a rigid guide. And then the final week, we sort of bring everything together with habit building. And, how do we turn supportive practices into something sustainable? So we start exploring, again, small anchoring habits to routines that already exist within our lives. And the goal here is like gentle consistency, not so much pressure or perfection.
It sounds
So,
like it must have taken a long time to put this together, to organize what do we want to emphasize, what do we want to leave out. How long did this project take you to get it and ready for people to pilot?
it's been like a little over 2 years. Started as an idea at first, and then it became something that I offered at yoga studios with like an in-person version. And so each week would be a 2-hour class over 8 weeks. And, we'd have about half an hour of lesson and sharing and an hour to an hour and a half of restorative yoga. So when I decided that I wanted to bring this program from the in-person way to the over the computer, like on Zoom way, I had to take out so much from the program. And it really took me a lot of time to figure out what it was that I wanted to whittle down to make it this bite-sized information.
Those are some tough choices.
Very. And um champion of restorative yoga, so I felt really sad taking that piece out. But restorative yoga is not for everybody, especially for folks with FASD who have trouble keeping still. Um, that's going to be extra hard for them. So I just chucked all of that. I still get to teach yoga in my daily life, so I do
Yeah,
have that, in
yeah,
there a little bit still. But I ultimately decided that this program would be easier if it wasn't guided by me anymore, if it was self-guided and can just be done on the computer while you're eating breakfast or listening on your headphones while you're walking the dog.
right.
Um, Again, bite-sized teaching. Each lesson includes like one practical skill or tool that they can use and practice for the next week until the next lesson. Each week includes a guided meditation, and then like some sort of reflection. And the whole program again is designed to be accessible for people with busy brains, for folks with mental health challenges, or anyone who's just feeling generally overwhelmed by
Mhm.
like traditional self-development programs.
Yeah. Now, I recall seeing a post that you put out a few months ago looking for volunteers to basically beta test your program.
Mhm.
Has that wrapped up yet, or are you still
Yes, that yes, has
how
wrapped
how did
up
that shake out?
really well. I got some really great feedback from it, and ultimately it helped. I think the feedback was really for me to feel validated into releasing it into the world.
That's
Because
helpful though.
yeah, I mean, I have that inner critic voice too, of course. And so, that voice in my head tells me that like, well, I didn't go to university for this. And yeah, like I don't have a degree behind my name. That is like the thing that is always telling me that I'm not smart enough to show up in these
The imposter
spaces.
syndrome.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome. And so I'm throwing it all out there and I'm, wearing my heart on my sleeve and I'm being vulnerable about it and I hope it helps people. I really do.
I don't see from just what you've shared so far, I don't see how it could not.
Thank you.
Because you covered some really fundamental things that have potential to be enormously impactful. And it seems though you've ordered them in the right way. So, sitting it from the place of someone who has done groups for decades and that self-help groups and things like that. Yeah, that it seems really, really good.
Well, I'd be happy to share the link with you if you want to like write any more about it in the
Right?
description for this podcast.
Okay. All right.
I can do that after.
That would be awesome. How many people did you have in your pilot group?
I had about 8.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, it was. And not everybody made it through. Some people were just like, this isn't for me. Some people didn't really resonate with the guided meditations. Other people loved them. And those are the people who I'm looking to connect with, right? Is like people who can listen to a guided meditation, not meditate. I want to make that clear. I'm not looking for you to sit down cross-legged with your hands like this and a straight spine and having to stay still for 10 minutes. Like that is not what I'm looking for at all. You can, like I said, you can listen while you walk the dog. You can listen while you do the dishes.
When I was a kid, my parents divorced when I was just about to turn 8 years old. And during that time, my mom was trying all kinds of things, self improvement, right? So she got this harebrained idea that she was going to take me with her to a TM class, transcendental meditation, had to sit on the floor cross legged with my arms out, hands up on my knees and close my eyes, breathing and chanting flower. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. And I was in like, fourth grade.
Yeah. It's
So,
definitely not for everybody.
I just, my memory flashed to that when you kind of said it's not for, everybody and we're not going to
Yeah.
be doing, and my memory went tripping back 50 some years.
I do. I say meditation, and really, I think the word I'm looking for is visualization. The visualizations are much more like a guided journey than just sitting and meditating on a thought or an emotion. Like it's you close your eyes and you picture you're in a forest and you're walking through the forest, and what do you see and what do you touch and what can you smell and
That
hear and
engage all your senses.
yeah.
Yeah, that
So
can
and,
be
and
remarkably powerful.
yeah, I think so too. It literally rewires your brain.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So
and just like the to wrap up talking about this program is
yeah,
that it's available on a sliding scale price starting at $5.
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have
How do people
3.
engage with you on this?
Yes. So, I'll tell you about my website in just a second. So there's 3 tiers to this program. There's a root tier, which is $5 to I think $25 sliding scale. A steady tier, which is like 30 to 75, and then an abundant tier, which is about 80 to 150.
Mhm.
And so you get to choose what works for your budget, what's working for your lifestyle right now. It's not going to cost you more than $5 if that's all you have to give. That's okay.
Mhm.
And I want people to know that it's available at that price. I did the different tiers. I've been offered sliding scale in the past. when been struggling and relying on Ontario disability support, which is not very much money, as I'm sure that you know. And so I don't think I would have been so successful if I didn't have people offer me sliding scale pricing. And I do that so that like you know where you kind of land in each tier. If you have extra to give, then pay the abundant tier. If you are maybe able to take one vacation a year or one vacation every 2 years, perhaps the steady tier is for you. If you're relying on disability support or social services, maybe the first tier is for you, and all of that is okay.
So, do the different tiers provide different amounts of benefit?
No, they all provide exactly the same course. Yeah, there's no benefit to paying more or less. If you do decide to pay less, you're not missing out on more. Yeah.
So, what is your website? I will get that into the show notes.
My name, so shannonbutt.ca, www.shannonbutt.ca. And that can be found, you can find my Instagram, which is Shannon Lee Butt, and my website is linked through my Instagram as well.
All right. So, we will get people sent over there, and hopefully, you'll get lots of clientele soon. So, also teach yoga. Is that at a local shop to where you live?
Yep. Yeah. It's about a half-hour drive, and I only teach there once a week, but it's like I've become so busy in other work in my life that I haven't been able to teach yoga full time like I have in the past. But I hang on to that one class a week because I love it so much.
So, and it's part of your self care as well.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. All right. So, what out of all the other things that you had started off saying, I'm into this and this and this, since we last talked, what has been your favorite thing that
Oh,
has kept you busy?
that is a tough question. My favorite. I do really love my role as a mental health peer supporter at the Mental Health Support Project. I get to host weekly groups. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at that job, and every Tuesday looks the same, every Wednesday looks the same, every Thursday looks the same, but they're different from each other.
Yeah.
Um and I get to host, like, I started a queer coffee group for queer people who are struggling with their mental health. And we also offer a 10-week program called Stepping Stones to Wellness. And it's completely free, and you come in person,
Mhm.
and we talk about things like growth mindset and the window of tolerance. And we also talk about the nervous system. And we just help people start to make sense of some of the things that have happened in their lives. So that work feels very powerful. I don't know that I would call it my favorite. That's a big word.
Okay. What's been the most meaningful?
Yeah.
Is,
Ugh.
is that
I
any easier?
no. I am very lucky where I feel like a lot of the work that I get to do is meaningful. Like I'm working and walking alongside people who are struggling in their daily life, and I get to be a little beacon of hope for them. And that is no small thing. And so I feel very honored and very privileged to be able to do what I do across all of my roles, including teaching yoga. I just get to meet people where they're at.
It's also not a small thing to be a witness to growth and progress. That in itself is huge and honorable.
I have clients that come in and tell me things like, one gentleman, an older gentleman, went on a blind date. It was something that he never thought he was gonna do ever again in his life. Because he attended the groups and built up confidence, he was able to go and do that. And it's just really beautiful to see people. I've had other peers that have been able to set boundaries with parents or loved ones that they were never able to set before, or cut people out of their lives, or start to look for meaningful employment, or um like, I was there not that long ago looking for that meaning in my life and struggling in my day-to-day life and struggling to pay bills, and not sure where the steadiness and the foundation was going to come from. I'm so grateful for the people who walked alongside me during that time, and now I get to be that for somebody else.
Yeah. And that's such a blessing.
It is a
Yeah.
blessing. It's such a blessing. I feel very lucky.
Yeah. So what comes next? You mentioned that the ALC disbanded. What comes next? how are you going to be, aside from this group, how are you going to be ministering in the FASD space?
That's a really good question. It was incredibly disappointing that the ALC disbanded. I'd say even more disappointing the way that they disbanded. I felt there was pretty poor leadership, and there was always this vision of the ALC as the core members, the original members, and then everybody else. And so if you were everybody else and not one of the core, you didn't get the same information that the
Mm,
core people got. And so it was sort of disbanded in that way as well, where the core members got a personal phone call from the leader, and the rest of us just got a message on a WhatsApp group saying that effective immediately, we would no longer be a group. So that's been a really hard transition.
disappointing because the nonprofit status happened
Yeah.
not too long ago.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know what's next. I'm also sitting on the board planning the 2026 Seattle conference, but
I
I'm
have an
not going to
abstract
the
coming.
conference. Yeah? Great. That's good. That's good.
That's my other
Uh,
project for today is to clean that up and get it ready to submit.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know they're accepting those right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be attending the conference strictly because I'm not comfortable traveling in the States right now. There's just too much going on down there.
There's especially in Portland and Seattle, those are 2 places that are kinda cray cray at the moment.
Yeah. So I've said no to attending the conference, which is very very bittersweet. And but I am really involved in the conference world here for FASD conferences. This year I started branching out and getting into like some substance abuse conferences and things that are and like neurodivergent conferences. So may not be FASD directly, but it is still in that world of like addiction and recovery, which is my forte.
Yeah.
Mm.
I struggled in the field of social work where I came from, right? The last 25 years was in child welfare. Um, the admin would say, "Well, you wanna talk about this? Great, but then do you wanna act on it? No, we can't do that." Right? Very frustrating, and
Yeah.
very frustrating to hear burnt out social workers, which happens very quickly in child welfare, complaining about birth moms. Not even a difficult case plan. We're not asking the world. It should be easy. Very frustrated, and I'm just thinking, you know, we know that alcohol and drugs tend to go down family lines, down
Mhm.
generations. Why is it not second nature to realize that the effects of that usage also show up generation after generation? So
Yeah.
maybe just like with the kids that we're now overseeing, maybe their parents also, it's not a matter of won't, it's can't without
Mm.
accommodations. And I just don't understand why that thought doesn't change things.
Mhm. We still have so many people behind in the
Mhm.
times.
Mhm.
Um, just today I was talking to a placement student. She's doing her master's of social work, and she had asked me to be a reference for a job as an addictions worker, and was telling me that she was telling her uncle about this job with the addictions placement, and her uncle just straight up was like, "Oh, you're going to be working with a bunch of losers who can't just stop drinking when they need to stop drinking." And I was like, "Oh my god, like, do people really still not understand addiction? It's wild."
Yeah, so the lack of awareness, the
Yeah,
lack of understanding, the lack of patience
yeah.
never ceases to boggle my mind. Yeah. Um, all right. So you've branched out to addictions. What is your message to those communities about FASD? What do you need them to understand that they're not getting from
That
other sources?
that FASD is so much more than what we see. It's an epidemic. It is rampant. People are struggling. People need to be seen. There's too much stigma still. Just people need to know what it is. Like I still meet people who are like, "Oh, I've never heard of that. Oh, I don't know what that is," but they know what autism is? So just
And we're twice as prevalent as autism.
yeah, yes, absolutely. So I just need people to know what it is. I'm starting small.
Mhm. Okay.
Just getting the word out there.
Yeah. And then you also said in the mental health communities, you're speaking there now as well. What is your message to that audience?
That's a lot of talking about lived experience, telling my story about my own addictions. I'm 5 years sober of cocaine now, 4 years sober of alcohol. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's incredible. And I just want people to know that sobriety is possible, but that it comes from having the right supports. And that is really going to come from a government that knows how to take care of us, a government who prioritizes addictions work, who prioritizes basic income, stable housing, food security. Hopefully, we're heading out of this capitalist landscape and into something more community centered, maybe even more women centered, um, and just showing people that we need to start holding each other.
Are there any other things that you want to share today?
Let's see. I've been doing work. I've been developing my program. I I guess I just wouldn't be here without the support of my dad and my stepmom and rural FASD and my friends and the sober community that I've built and the neurodivergent community that I've built and the FASD community that I've built. Like I wouldn't be where I am. And I feel like these days I I have such purpose and such passion for what I'm doing that it keeps me going. I'm somebody who has struggled with suicidal thoughts for most of my life, and they don't take up as much space as they used to. And
Yes.
so I just want other people to know that it's possible as well.
Yeah. It's good when those voices are reduced to whispers
Yeah.
and not shouted with a megaphone anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes a lot to get to that point of just self acceptance and giving oneself grace. We make mistakes, especially if we can't accurately assess people's true motivations. We get bullied, we get manipulated, and life gets kind of crazy and ugly real quick.
Yeah.
But we have to give ourselves grace when things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace is very important. That's something that I've really had to practice over especially as I navigate. So I feel like I'm navigating sobriety almost again, because for a long time I smoked cannabis, and now I've decided to not have that be a part of my life anymore. And so I'm in a way like starting at a day one again of no cannabis. And so it's very humbling just to be brought back to this place where you're like, the work is never really done. It's just ongoing.
Because there's always going to be a next thing that we
Yeah.
realize we have to give up in order to get where we want to go. And it may not be an addictive substance or behavior, but we all do things that hold us back from
Yeah.
our own dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome and very inspirational. So 5 years, 4 years, and how long clean from pot?
A couple days.
So this is fresh and it's still you're still in the honeymoon phase, right? It hasn't gotten hard yet?
Oh, no, it's hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very hard. I am not sleeping at night. When I do sleep, I'm sweating. I have the night sweats like crazy. It's a whole different kind of withdrawal, and it's annoying as hell.
Last June, I went to the Mayo Clinic to meet my new endocrinologist because when I left California, I left my whole team of specialists. So I checked my mom into the local nursing home for a few days so I could fly to Minnesota and do this and spend some time with the lovely Jody Culp, which was fabulous. Best part of the trip. I didn't make her quit cigarettes ahead of time. I just bought a box of patches and said, "Here you go. Good luck with her."
Yeah,
And they called me in Minnesota twice wanting help with her. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm still in Minnesota. I can't come and rescue
yeah.
you guys. So figure it out. She's not welcome there anymore.
No, no.
So when I was preparing for my back surgery, I knew I'd be hospitalized for several days. And so I stopped buying her cigarettes like a month ahead of time.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was no fun. It was a very, very difficult month, but she made it and she did well. So gosh, that's been since middle of August to now, so it's been 3.5 months. She still
That's
asks me
big.
for cigarettes every now and then.
It's just so wild how it's so ingrained, and then I remember when we put my nan into a home, she had Alzheimer's, and we thought it was just gonna be like, she smoked, I swear to God, since the day she was born. I think she came out of the womb with a pack of cigarettes in her hand,
Right, my mom's the
and
same way.
yeah, and she was in maybe 8 hours, 12 hours in the nursing home, forgot that she smoked. Her Alzheimer's made her forget that she smoked. She did not remember. It
Yeah.
was wild
Oh, I
that she had
wish it
no
did happen that
withdrawal,
way.
nothing. Yeah, I bet. Me too.
Yeah, no, my mom has smoked for 80 years, and,
Yeah,
it's hard enough to give up a substance if you want to give it up, but
yeah,
it's that much harder when it's something that you really are not choosing for yourself.
yeah.
So, yeah. Ugh, my poor mama. But at least I'm not hearing, "I feel so awful. Why don't I
Yeah,
just die?" You're
dear.
not coughing a lung up every day anymore.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's hard. So kudos to you for being able to give up one thing, then another thing, now another thing. You're winning the good fight.
thank you, thank
One
you.
day at a time.
One day at a time, as they say.
Right. Yep. Well, I'm so glad you took time out of your day to join me on the mic for Living with FASD. It's
Mm.
been a joy to spend this time with you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. Take I am so glad that you tuned in to today's candid conversation, and I hope you found it very valuable in adding to the breadth and depth of your knowledge about fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. I also hope we made you laugh along the way. I'm so honored to bring you these candid conversations week by week, and I'm so grateful that you keep coming back. You are my faithful audience, and I'm so grateful for you. Please reach out to me at livingwithfasdpodcast@gmail.com. If you have suggestions on topics you want me to cover, that you want maybe to learn more about, or guests that you think would be excellent to invite to be on the show, I'm always happy to get your suggestions. And I'm also happy to hear if any of these episodes have touched your life. Please share your story with me. You never know, I might invite you to come on the show. If you want to pick up a copy of my book, Sip by Sip, Conversations with Adults Living with FASD, you'll find the ordering links in the show notes, along with my Calendly link if you want to schedule a complimentary call to talk about any training or coaching needs that you might have that I might be able to help you with through my company, Casper's FASD Life Coaching and Training LLC. Now, if today's guest has given me contact information to share and you want to reach out to them, that information will also be in the show notes. So in the meantime, I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy week to watch or listen to this podcast on whatever platform you have found me on. And please, please, please like, subscribe, and share this podcast so that others can find it. That's how they find it, is when you share it. And, the more people that find the podcast, the more people learn about FASD and the less hidden we are. So that's it for today. It's a wrap. Have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you next time on Living with FASD. Take good care.